Hey everyone, I'm Jason, and this is your commentary on Genesis chapter 18. The Lord appeared to Abraham near the large trees of Mamre. Abraham was sitting at the entrance to his tent. It was the hottest time of the day. Abraham looked up and saw 3 men standing nearby. He quickly left the entrance to his tent to meet them. He bowed low to the ground. He said, "My Lord, if you are pleased with me, don't pass me by. Let a little water be brought. All of you can wash your feet and rest under this tree. Let me get you something to eat to give you strength. Then you can go on your way. I want to do this for you now that you have come to me." "All right," they answered. "Go ahead and do it." So Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah. "Quick," he said, "get about half a bushel of fine flour. Mix it and make some bread." Then he ran to the herd. He picked out a choice tender calf. He gave it to a servant who hurried to prepare it. Then he brought some butter and milk and the calf that had been prepared. He served them to the 3 men. While they ate, they stood near them under a tree. "Where's your wife Sarah?" they asked him. "Over there in the tent," he said. Then the Lord said, "You can be sure that I will return to you about this time next year. Your wife Sarah will have a son." Sarah was listening at the entrance to the tent behind him. Abraham and Sarah were already very old. Sarah was too old to have a baby, so she laughed to herself. She thought, "I'm worn out, and my husband is old. Can I really know the joy of having a baby?" Then the Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh? Why did she say, 'Will I really have a baby now that I am too old?' Is anything too hard for me? I will return to you at the appointed time next year. Sarah will have a son." Sarah was afraid, so she lied and said, "I didn't laugh." But the Lord said, "Yes, you did." Yet again, this is another opportunity where God knows the answer, and yet he'll ask a question anyway. He's trying to give us a chance to confess, to admit what's really going on. And although later on in the book of Hebrews and other parts, Sarah is known as a righteous woman, she still did lie at this point. It's just a momentary doubt, but throughout Scripture she will be known as a woman of faith. So the men got up to leave. They looked down toward Sodom. Abraham walked along with them to see them on their way. Then the Lord said, "Should I hide from Abraham what I am about to do? He will certainly become a great and powerful nation. All nations on earth will be blessed because of him. I have chosen him. He must direct his children. He must see that the members of his family after him live the way I want them to. So he must direct them to do what is right and fair. Then I, the Lord, will do for Abraham what I have promised him." This is a very powerful passage, especially for anyone who is a parent. Having become a parent myself, it's one thing to want what's best for your children as far as being well off, having enough food, everything like that. But that's not the primary responsibility of the parent, is to make sure that they have fun and a good time. You don't want to be their best friend. What you want to do is be a parent that raises them the right way, so that they know what is right and what is wrong and what they're supposed to do. From the very beginning, God set it up as marriage between a man and woman for the purpose of raising of children. The entire society is built on that relationship, on that marriage, and that's why it's so important to God that we take our position as parents very seriously. We're supposed to teach the kids how to obey, not mindlessly, of course, that they should know what is going on and to make right choices. But our God is not a chaotic God. He's a God of order. If you look at the household, a parent who raises their kids in chaos and lets their kid do whatever they want is a horrible parent. That kid's going to go into so much trouble that maybe they'll try drugs, maybe they'll fight against the police and law, and they'll steal, or who knows what they're going to do if they're not raised the right way. So we have to teach order to our kids. That's how it is within the family relationship, but then society is built on the family relationships, just taken a little bit further. And you look at the government as well. The government is supposed to be there not for chaos, but for order. So if you break a law, then there are consequences for it. If you don't adhere to it, if you don't enforce the punishments for breaking of the law, then things become chaotic. And what type of civilization will we live in then? So it all starts here with the way that God is telling Abraham he's supposed to raise his kids in a way that follows him. So the Lord said, "The cries against Sodom and Gomorrah are very great. Their sin is so bad that I will go down and see for myself. I want to see if they have done what they have done is as bad as the cries that have reached me. If it is not, then I will know." The men turned away. They went to Sodom, but Abraham remained standing in front of the Lord. This is one passage where we know the three men who showed up, one was God, and the other two were angels. And there's also other passages in the Bible, especially in Hebrews, great book, you should read it, that says that be careful because you don't know who you're entertaining, that you may inadvertently be entertaining an angel in disguise. And so we should be treating everyone with a level of hospitality, with humility and care, because we don't know who they are or who sent them. It's just a common courtesy to love and respect everyone, even if we don't know who they are. So we know it is the Lord that he's talking to at this moment. And the Lord said, Abraham turned towards the Lord. Abraham came up to him, and he said, "Will you sweep away godly people along with those who are evil? What if there are 50 godly people in the city? Will you really sweep it away? Won't you spare the place because of the 50 godly people? You would never kill godly people along with those who are evil, would you? You wouldn't treat godly and evil people alike. You would never do anything like that. Won't the judge of the whole earth do what is right?" So what is God's response? How does God answer Abraham? We look at what happened with the flood, and God spared 8 people out of the entire earth. So since he promised never to wipe away the entire earth again in a flood, what about a city? Would God really bring about his wrath and his judgment on a city? The Lord said, "If I find 50 godly people in the city of Sodom, I will save it. I will spare the whole place because of them." Then Abraham spoke up again. He said, "I have been very bold to speak to the Lord. After all, I'm only dust and ashes. What if the number of godly people is 5 less than 50? Will you destroy the whole city because of 5 people? If I find 45 there," he said, "I will not destroy it." Once again Abraham spoke to him. He asked, "What if only 40 are found there?" He said, "If there are 40, I will not do it." Then Abraham said, "Lord, don't let your anger burn against me. Let me speak. What if only 30 can be found there?" He answered, "If there are 30, I will not do it." Abraham said, "I have been very bold to speak to the Lord. What if only 20 are found there?" He said, "If there are 20, I will not destroy it." Then he said, "Lord, don't let your anger burn against me. Let me speak just one more time. What if only 10 are found there?" He answered, "If there are 10, I will not destroy it." When the Lord had finished speaking with Abraham, he left, and Abraham returned home. This is an amazing passage here. You have the Lord who is just and is completely righteous in anything he does. And if he goes down there and he sees that they're wicked, he has every right to wipe them out. That's what he's supposed to do. He enforces that. That's why he is known as the judge of the whole world. But in this passage, you have a man like Abraham who's not speaking arrogantly like, "Oh Lord, you know the good that I've done." He's just saying, "Lord, you are good." So Abraham has a relationship with the Lord already. And he's coming to him humbly and yet boldly asking him to spare Sodom. And he keeps knocking the number down from 50 to 45 to 40 to 30 to 20, all the way down to only 10 people in the entire city. That if 10 people in the entire city are godly, then the entire city would be spared. And God, in his mercy, even though he's almighty, he listens to Abraham. This shows the true power of intercessory prayer. That when Scripture says that the Lord hears the prayers of a righteous man, it doesn't mean that we have to be perfect, because we know that Abraham wasn't perfect. It means that we have to have a relationship with God. We have to be sincere. Notice, he didn't ask for his own personal wealth. He didn't ask for his own personal protection and health, and that everything would be well with him and his family. His prayer is pleading on behalf of the salvation of other people. And he doesn't do it because he is a righteous man. He does it because God is a righteous God. That's how we should approach him. That when we have a passion inside of us, especially for something godly like the salvation of other people, we can come boldly but humbly before God, not because of who we are, but because of who we know he is. Alright, well, that is the end of the commentary on Genesis chapter 18. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will see you next time.